I wasn't too concerned because when Ike happened, the water barely got halfway up my driveway. You know, I didn't expect, you know, the amount of rain we got to be as much as we got, so I didn't think we would have any issues with any flooding because I've never had actual serious flooding issues in the neighborhood since I've been there. But they've also built up a lot of neighborhoods around us, so we don't know if that actually attributed to the flooding or the fact that it was, you know, 57 inches of rain.
I started driving and I was behind him, and I drive an SUV, and so he started pushing water, and when he started pushing water, I started worrying. And I've grown up in country, so I know if you drive through high water, you stay behind usually a truck or so, and you stay behind them and you go. And I just kept thinking in my head, we're going to get to a higher point. We're going to get to a higher point in our neighborhood. This isn't that bad. You know, we're going to get to our house and there's not going to be any water. No, it got worse. And so because our neighborhood slimps down whenever you go into it. So we pushed a lot of water, and water was already up to the middle of our driveway, and it got, when I pulled out, our adrenaline was pumping. He was like, whoo, and it was scary because I had my daughter in the car. And if I would have known that the water was that bad, I would have never driven her through that water. And so we get to the driveway, and I'm like in tears in my front seat, and because I know it's bad. This is not what we expected. And so we get into the house. My daughter she's starting to worry, and I tell her it's gonna be okay, you know, let's just let's go to the room, let's watch some TV. And so I get to him and I tell him this is scary, you know. I said, do you think it's gonna come in? And because it was getting to where he parked and where our land we're kind of risen a little bit. It's starting to creep up on the side of his truck. So I told him, I said, do you think it's gonna come up? And he's like, no, we should be fine. And in a matter of minutes, you can't get out, you can't go back, you can't turn around, you're stuck. In a matter of minutes, the water started coming in. So we started preparing the attic in case because it happened. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. You can't stop it. Once it's just coming, and you can't leave because your streets are 4 foot underwater. Your cars can't go out, and so you just know you're stuck. So you just start preparing for the worst because who knows when it's going to stop. Because we were watching the news, and the rain just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming in, and it's like, and I remember just praying, and I was on the phone with my friend, and I was just praying. I'm like, when is this gonna stop? Like, please, 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 just give us a break. We just need a break.
Once the water came in, I turned the power off to the house so that, you know, nothing caught on, you know, it didn't electrocute anything or catch the house on fire. So whenever we woke up Bella, she was in shock because
the bed and she woke up and the bed was in water. She woke up in water, and it scared her, and I just felt helpless because I can't, and I think we both did, because we couldn't take her out of that situation at the time. So
it's hard to explain to a 7-year-old about how we can't leave the house right now because you can't get out of the house, you know, and she can't watch TV or make a phone call on her FaceTime her grandma or anybody because we have no power. So she doesn't understand what's going on. So she's just, you know, she's scared. She has no clue what happened, what's happening, what's going on, what we're gonna do. You know, it's hard to deal, you know, to see a child just in utter shock and being scared.
Your scariest moment?
I was sitting on my bed, and I was looking at the TV, and I was watching the news, and I just see the rain just coming in, and seeing the water at my feet just pouring, coming like covering my ankles, and my daughter sleeping behind me. That was my that was the scariest moment, was seeing her sleeping and not knowing what's out there because it's so dark, and not knowing what you're gonna wake up to. That was my scariest moment. Was the feeling of being trapped. You can't get out. You have no choice but to just figure out how to stay above water.
A neighbor of ours, he had a boat, and he went to go, he started taking people to the front of the neighborhood. So he eventually, we waited probably about an hour or so, and he finally got to us, and we got our dogs and everything packed up, you know, got Sonia and Bella packed into the boat, and he boated us out actually before his family did. Like before he got his family out, and then later he got his family out. What do you want to say to Charles?
I can't thank you enough, Charles.
Every time I see him, I tell him thank you.
Yes,
I see him every day.
Houston Strong means to me, it's everybody coming together to help you out without even thinking twice. We had a random person pick us up while we were walking down 96 with my daughter, my 3 dogs, and my husband, and just picked us up out of nowhere and took us to our friend's house, and we had our bags of clothes, our backpacks, and that's it. And just walking down 96, and he stopped and picked us up. I mean, that's strong right there, is the generosity and the caring and the loving and the compassion that everybody has shown. It's an unfortunate situation, but this has also shown to me that there are loving and caring people out there, and it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. There is love, and there is, you know, there's unity at the end of the day. So that's Houston Strong to me. Whenever you're in that situation, you just think of survival, and he made it to where we would survive. I mean, he was sawing at 4 o'clock in the morning, sawing board plywood that we had, and to fix to set up the attic so that we could go up there. I mean, if I was by myself with my daughter, I wouldn't have known what to do. So the fact that I had him, he saved us. I mean, he really did. I mean, I can't thank you enough. I love you. But yeah, he's my rock. So he kept me calm. You know, there were times that, don't get me wrong, that I was scared. That I did. I've never prayed so hard in my life. So hard. And it's going to take a while to rebuild. It's not going to be done overnight. And it's okay to feel like you need help. It's okay to ask for help. You're in need, you know, and you're not the only one.
There's thousands of people that got flooded, and they're all trying to rebuild. If someone's going to help, offer their help, let them help. It's one less thing you have to stress about, one less thing you have to worry about. I mean, just trying to figure out what you have to get done, making sure everything's dry. There's so many things to do to get your house started. If someone's willing to help, let them help.
I think that's the way that they, and if it didn't happen to them, I think that's the way they want to help you, is to know that they're doing something, is to help you. So accepting the help is another big part. You know, you should, because that's what they're trying to do for you, to help you out. And
that goes back into what we were talking about earlier. You know, people giving and also being okay with receiving help through this difficult time. I think
I think my hardest the hardest thing that I've had to accept in all of this is knowing that I need the help. And I want to go out and help as much as I can, and I wanted to go out and drive to somebody's house to help them, and I couldn't do that because my car, I had to get a car. And just realizing you can't help is hard too, is realizing that you couldn't help at that point, you know, where you wanted to go out and be that person. I don't have a boat, but I wanted to go save somebody, you know. I think that was accepting that you couldn't do that at the moment because, you know, you lost everything.
The starting of the remodeling of the house and putting all the work in, I mean, just taking the time to pick out everything that we needed, the paint, the trim, the new doors we wanted to put in.
This is something we had planned for ever since we started planning our wedding and we got married in December.
Was let's work on the house, let's ask for money to work on our house. And when we got it all and we started working on the house, you know, and once I got, you know, one room done at a time, it was just kind of like, you get one room done, you're like, okay, it looks so good, and you get all excited. And then you work on the next room and you get excited because it's the little one's room, and she's all happy because she's got this new room she picked out the paint to, and it's all this new floor, and she's like, oh, I love my room. And then you start working on the hallway, get that done, and then you're like, okay, well, we'll go to the next room, and then a hurricane comes. And then your house floods, and then you see part of the water coming, and you're like, okay, it's okay. The flooring I have is waterproof. It's not going to go bad. I can put it back in whenever it's, you know, time comes. It's no big deal. And then you start seeing little spots that bubble up where air got in there, and then you start seeing your floor popping up, and you're just like, okay, it's no big deal. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. And then once the hurricane, the house flooded, and I get back into it, and we're trying to, you know, take the walls out. You know, they're pulling the walls, pulling the trim.
I think it's just
just watching them do that after knowing I put so much hard work into it, it just kind of devastates you, and it takes a little bit out of you knowing that all that work is just getting ripped up, and you're like.
I think it was like a moment that him and I had done some stuff together, and it's like this is a house that we were home and we were building together. And this is what you're supposed to do after you get married. You're supposed to build your home together. And, you know, he works so hard on the house. I mean, our house is older, and he works so hard, and I remember sitting on the bed, and he comes in and he's in tears, and we're flooding, and I could see it in him, and I could see his heart broken because he worked so hard on the house. And it was the endless nights, him just not saying, I can't do that today, I have to work on the house. All of that hard work is gone. It's gonna be gone. And you can't get that back. Get flood insurance.
Get flood insurance for sure. Even though it was a 400-year flood?
We're gonna get flood insurance. Definitely, whenever we prepare, we're gonna prepare for the worst. We're not gonna take it that it's gonna be light, because this was definitely something that we thought wasn't gonna be this bad. I think that's what we would do different, is definitely prepare for the worst, because not to say that we went through the worst, but we went through. I mean, we could have had it a lot worse, but I mean, we'll definitely prepare for the worst next time. My daughter was sleepwalking weeks after. She would wake up crying. We had to seek counseling for her through the school. We did do that. We started there first. She just wanted to go home. She wanted to be home. And it's like, you have to tell her you can't go home. I'm sorry, you know, we can't go home right now. Why? Why can't we go home? Well, I mean, baby, we don't have walls.
One of the hardest things is seeing your life in the front yard.
For everybody to see.
Yeah, and then you know, sitting there, you're taking your stuff out and you're putting it out there to get, you know, picked up, and then you see people driving by looking at your piles of stuff.
I mean, the wedding dress
You
I
know.
danced in all night, I lost.
You don't, you know, you get okay. Once you take it out, you're fine. It doesn't hit you again until it's gone. And then you realize that's part of my life and it's gone. I don't have that anymore. Trust me, once the house is done, everyone that's helped us is
We're going to have a big party.
getting invited over, getting pictures that can't make it and saying, this is part of you. This is from you. This is what you helped do.
Appreciate y'all listening to me because, like I said, this is the first time we've actually told the story together, and I think this is my second time actually talking about everything that we went through. So, and actually the first time overall being able to express my feelings without, you know, with somebody. And so I thank y'all because this has helped me because, you know.
Helps you make it a little easier each time
Yeah.
you say it.
I think so. So, thank y'all.